Hello and welcome to Armor, Anti-Racism Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be discussing Ex Machina. Now, the system of white supremacy uses three-step process in order to maintain and increase power. Step number one, create scarcity. Again, create scarcity. Step number two, entice, coerce, force people into behaviors that are advantageous to the system of white supremacy. And step number three, extract resources based on those behaviors. Ex Machina is about step two in that process, although it touches on step number one and step number three. Now, there are going to be spoilers during this and probably every episode of Armor. So, as soon as you see the title, press pause on Armor, go watch the show or episode or movie, and then come back. Now, in April 2020, The Atlantic magazine had an issue that had an article in it. It was actually a book review called The World's Favorite Drug. This article talks about a guy named James Hill, who moved from Manchester, England to El Salvador to run a coffee plantation. After gaining some experience running the plantation, James Hill noticed what to him was a problem. Food was plentiful. The indigenous people farmed communal land. There were figs and papaya, mangoes, dragon fruit, you name it, avocado, you name it. This was a problem for James Hill because he needed people to be motivated to work hard. What he found was that one way to motivate people to work hard was to make people hungry. James Hill decided that he would privatize the surrounding land, remove the variety of vegetables and fruits and edible plants from the plantation, and James Hill took this a step further. He would beat or shoot anyone he found eating food that they may have found on the plantation. James Hill was creating scarcity in a place of abundance, creating scarcity. That's the first step. Ex Machina highlights the dangers of the second step and alludes to the third step, as I mentioned before. So Ex Machina. Ex Machina is about a guy named Caleb, a socially awkward employee of Blue Book, a large tech company. He wins a prize, or so he thinks. He, quote unquote, wins a prize. The prize is meeting Nathan, a brilliant, wealthy CEO, and spending time with him at his estate/compound. It turns out that, unbeknownst to Caleb, he's part of an experiment. The experiment is to help decide whether the AI, named Ava, created by Nathan, the CEO, is real enough. So Nathan creates this experiment involving Caleb to see if the AI he created, Ava, is real enough. So the story follows Caleb and his interactions with Ava. Now, Ava has the body, mannerisms, features of a young, attractive woman. At the same time, Ava is clearly a robot. I mean, you can see wires, you can see metal parts, lights. She's not human. Nonetheless, Ava's behavior is so powerful that she succeeds in making Caleb her friend. And she actually succeeds in seducing Caleb. Now, the movie doesn't get sexual. There's no human-robot interactions, so it's not sexual. But clearly, Caleb is enamored. He's feeling Ava. But let's back up a bit. There's a theme of emotional scarcity in Caleb's life. He's an orphan, he doesn't have a girlfriend, he's, as I mentioned before, socially awkward. So all along, Nathan, the CEO, wants to see if Ava can seduce someone who has emotional scarcity, Caleb. And the scarcity is created to an extent. It's not created by Nathan. The scarcity was created before Caleb met Ava, before Caleb had an interaction with the CEO or went to the compound. We know that the scarcity is created because it comes out in the movie that he has no parents and he has no girlfriend. So, in Nathan's mind at least, Caleb has a high probability for an emotional void, right? Now, jumping back to the system of white supremacy, here's a question. Does the system create this emotional void in people? You could argue either way. I'd argue yes, but there isn't this grand effort. There is not a grand effort to create stable relationships. There's no large scale discussions about, hey, this is what you do on a second date, or hey, this is what you do to stay happy in year 10 of your relationship, or wow, this is how you stay together for 25 years. We don't really hear about any of those things. So there's no great effort to create great relationships. So there may or may not be a grand scheme to create scarcity, emotional scarcity, but we can all agree that there isn't great societal / governmental effort to get rid of the scarcity that exists. So scarcity is there. And in slides Nathan with his company and his AI to alleviate that emotional void. I mean, Nathan knew Caleb would fall for Ava. And now hold on a second. Caleb's a white guy, he's not black. So how's this about the system of white supremacy? There's a saying, when white people catch a cold, black people catch pneumonia. If in society emotional scarcity is present for white people, that emotional scarcity is going to be significantly worse for black people. Black people have lower marriage rates, higher divorce rates, high rates of single motherhood. So the emotional scarcity is there. So when they create the Ava doll that looks like Lupita or Beyonce, and it's on sale for subscription for $99 a month for the first 6 months, you think there won't be a market for that AI? Do you think that there won't be a market for a male version of the AI for females? Or males for males or females for females or transgender, whatever type of AI you want. So again, getting back to the 3-step process, a system of white supremacy, in order to maintain or increase power. Number 1, create scarcity. Number 2, entice, coerce, force people into behaviors that are advantageous to the system. Get them to like AI. When otherwise they could have a stable relationship with a human, nah, we don't want that. We'd rather have them interacting with a non-human, a robot, something with metal and wires and such. And number 3 is extract resources based on those behaviors. So in wrapping, Ex Machina is a good movie. You should definitely check it out. And there are many lessons besides the ones I'm discussing, but it's important for us to approach movies with a bit of a focus on what it is we can learn about the system of white supremacy when we're watching movies. And so this 3-step process is one that you can take with you once you've watched the movie, or even if you decide to listen to this first and go watch the movie, it'll be insightful.